Jai Prahlada Maharaj, Jai Prahlada Maharaj, Jai Prahlada Maharaj, Jai Prahlada Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Nrisimha Bhagavana ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitya Gaura Premanande. Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiyari Jaya Sunday program at Ishkan Manchester. So next Friday we're having a special festival, which is the appearance of Lord Nrsimhadev, and it will be here in the temple from 7 till 9 p.m. And over the past few sessions, including Friday, we've been going through the pastimes of this Lord Nrsimhadev, and I think most of you will know who he is and know a fair bit about him. And some of you may not know so much. So what we're going to do, we're going to go. I'm actually asked to look at. Well, first off, this pastime of Lord Nrsimhadev is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam described as this cream of the Vedas. So just as you have a glass of milk, and the cream settles on the top, this is the most. This is the best bit of the milk. So in the same way, the Srimad Bhagavatam gives you all this nectar as well. So the pastimes come from there. It's in Canto 7, and we've been going through the different chapters. We're up to number 4, where Hiranyakashipu he conquers the whole universe. Okay, he's a pretty powerful demon, this guy. So I'll give you a little bit of background how we got there. And then we'll do a little bit of reading and a little bit of explanation as well, so we can understand where we are. Is that okay, everybody? Is that good? Yeah? You happy with that? Okay. So what I want to do, first we can do some prayers. And we do this one. Om Agyan Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Solpitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadadi Swaparandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutakada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadabhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sarnaganandam Vishvasuritam Sha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jarapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranami Haripiye Vancha Kopa Churubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evyacha Patitanam Pavenebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so we won't read a specific verse today, but we will read many verses actually. Let me just check my notes here. So everybody's heard of Hiranyakashipu, is that right? Everybody? A little bit. You maybe heard the name, but not so much. Well, Hiranyakashipu, he had a brother called Hiranyaksha, and they were the most powerful demons in the whole, we can probably say possibly the whole of the history of the universe, you know. And they were terrorizing, actually first started off with Hiranyaksha terrorizing the whole world, and what he was doing, he was taking all the gold and all the minerals from Mother Earth, and I have to keep this very short. And then Mother Earth fell off, and then fell off its pivot into the ocean. And being the brother of Hiranyakashipu, Krishna incarnated at that time as Varahadev. This is the boring incarnation of the Supreme Lord. And at that time, he had a big battle with Hiranyaksha, and he killed the brother. Okay, this is a different pastime altogether. This pastime we're talking about, that Hiranyakashipu is completely very, very angry, very, very with the fact that his brother's been killed. And in previous chapters, he's tried to, tried to speak nicely to his family members, but he's very, very, very angry. And because of this, he thinks what he can do. What can he do to become, we can say, the king of the world, to become immortal? And he had a big plan of doing this because he wanted to get his revenge. But actually, because he was an asura, a demon, he wanted to enjoy and take control of the whole universe. And he needed a plan for actually doing that. We talked about it on Friday. He had this plan to become immortal. He didn't want to be conquered by anybody. He, because we all suffer from old age and disease, and it's inevitable that we're going to die one day, he wanted to overcome this problem as well. The birth, old age, disease, and death. And as a result, become the absolute ruler of the entire universe. So in order to do this, he took on an austere austerity. And very, very briefly, what he did was he went to the Mandara mountain. It's a very special place there. He wanted material benefit from doing all this. So what he did, he stood on his two toes, his tiptoes, put his hands in the air, and said mantras and meditation, and remained this way for, at first time I heard this story, someone mentioned the term about 10,000 years. That's quite a lot to be in one place for doing meditation. Yeah, I mean, we could probably manage a few minutes these days, at the most. You know, bear in mind this is carried out in previous ages in Satya Yuga, so lifespan is much longer, and things are a lot easier to do. But when I looked into a little bit more, there was a mention of 100 celestial years that he was doing this for, standing in one place on his tiptoes, and it works out actually that a celestial year is the year of a demigod, and when you have 100 of them, it works out to something like 216 million years. So this is carrying out austerity in one place for this long. So this is actually mystic. This is really the definition of a mystic yoga. And by doing these activities, we can attain great powers. But this isn't really achievable for many people. But you know, we accept the Vedas because the Vedas are the absolute truth. So we actually accept that what's described in here actually did happen in the past. And actually, it's very, very amazing things that do happen. So what he did, because he was standing on his toes, obviously if we were doing that, after a while you need to eat. Yeah. So what happened to him was the ants and the worms, they first ate away his physical body, his flesh, and his flesh. So he was just left with bones. And the ants, very nicely, they built an anthill around him, and he was covered in bamboo and sticks and all that thing. But what he did through mystic yoga is his life air, he circulated it through the bones of his body. And this is why he was able to maintain this life for so long. Now, as a result of doing this, through doing these severe austerities, you do gain these mystic powers. And what happened to Hiranyakashipu? A great fire, a flame was shooting from his head, and it was actually, this flame was so big and so hot that it was going up to the upper planets, the lower planets, and all around, all around the whole universe, you see. And actually everything became so hot and unbearable for everyone. And actually the demigods got very disturbed, and all the living entities got very, very disturbed. And they think, oh, what am I going to do here? Because there was this Hiranyakashipu performing this austerity, but they didn't know what to do. So what they did, they told Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma is the supreme being of the material creation. Okay, and this is who you go to when you've got a problem and you need sorting out. This is the first port of call. So he went there, and the demigods and everybody, they explained. They explained what his plan was. His plan to become immortal. But look, so Lord Brahma went to visit him in person, and he arrived and saw him in the situation he was, just his bones, etc., and his flames coming off, etc. But Lord Brahma has a special water pot that he carries around him, and it's described as the elixir of life. You can see it if you see some murtis of him. You can see he's holding this type of thing. And what he did, he took a drop of this special water and sprinkled it on Hiranyakashipu's head. And what it did, it rejuvenated his body. So he got a new body. Lord Brahma gave him a brand new body. And through this process that he'd been going through, he became as strong as a lightning bolt. He achieved immense physical strength. And it describes that his body, this new body of his, resembled molten gold. You know, this type of characteristic. And actually, because he'd been doing this for 200 million years, he had merged a youthful young man from this process. And the reason he did this, because he wanted to get these boons, these special mystic boons that would allow him to be practically immortal. You know, he didn't want to be defeated by anybody. He knew that his brother previously was defeated by, we can say, an animal, a boar. So Hiranyakashipu thought he was being very clever. So, does anyone remember? Anyone remember these boons that he was asking for? You give me one, Chris.
He didn't want to be killed by any weapon.
That is one of them. Yeah, he didn't want to be killed by a weapon.
He didn't.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Mark?
He didn't want to be killed in the day of the
That's correct. Okay. So I have a list. I'll just quickly go through it. He said, he didn't want to die within any residence or with outside any residence as well. So we'd have to be somewhere in the middle. During the daytime or the night, on the ground nor in the sky. He couldn't. Death could not be brought by any being other than those created by you, nor by any weapon, or by any human being or animal. They wouldn't meet death from any living entity, living or non-living. So he's really clever here, and he's really trying to get rid of these opportunities that will take his life. So he also asked that he could not be killed by any demigod or demon, by any great snake. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Actually, his planet's full of snakes. It's very nice. Also have no rival on the battlefield. So actually there'll be no one. He asked so there'll be no one who actually wants to kill him either. So through these things that he asked, he became almost immortal. And from here, this is where the fourth chapter starts, you see. So he's gone through this process, he's done his austerities, he has all these boons. So what does he actually do with this? And well, the answer is he terrorizes the whole universe. So I'm going to read a couple of verses, and then we'll just comment a little bit on that. So if I could ask someone to read just text 1 and 2.
Narendra will continue. Lord Brahma was very much satisfied by Hiranyakashipu's austerities, which were difficult to perform. Therefore, solicited for benedictions, he indeed granted them, although they were rarely to be achieved. Lord Brahma said, O Hiranyakashipu, these benedictions for which you have asked are difficult to obtain from most men. Nonetheless, O my son, I shall grant you them, although they are generally not available.
So this is Lord Brahma answering this request from Hiranyakashipu, and he's happy to give these boons. But there's something very important in there that he says. He says, nonetheless, my son, I shall grant you them, although they are generally not available. Hiranyakashipu wants material opulence, and this is, we can relate this really to society we have today, because most people are seeking this material opulence. And with this material opulence people receive, they see this as a boon. This is a boon in their life. But actually, the more material opulence we receive, the more problems we actually have, and the more restrictions we have in our life, and the less time, for example. So, more material success will generally mean more work, and it will actually mean less time for spiritual activities, because we'll be engaged in just maintaining what we've already achieved. The modern education society that we have today is not promoting spiritual life, but it's promoting this type of activity that Hiranyakashipu is after, material benefit. And it says if you don't achieve the material benefit, then actually you're not really successful. You're not really. It doesn't mean your life is not a success. That's what you're told. But actually, what we teach here is that if you have success. If you have spiritual benefit and spiritual success in your life, this is the topmost success that you can have in your life. All this material stuff just brings problems after problems. Obviously, we need to maintain ourselves, look after our families, but we need to do it in a certain way that we don't become so attached to it and entangled in all these material things that are going on. So even Hiranyakashipu, with all these boons, he will still experience all the problems that the jiva does, and it will be no different than to the experiences that we have today. So if we read 7.4, who's got? You want to see read text 4? So I have to go down.
the demon Hiranyakashipu, having thus been blessed by Lord Brahma and having acquired a lustrous golden body, continued to remember the death of his brother and therefore be envious of Lord Vishnu.
So this is a very important point here as well, that the living entity, we are so set in trying to enjoy this material world. And because of this, actually, we become very envious of the Lord, just as Hiranyakashipu has become here. Now, even if we achieve the topmost success, the Lord will have, because the Lord is the most opulent and has everything, there will always be envy there. There'll always be something there. The best thing we can do is actually surrender. But we'll see, we'll learn a little bit about that later. You know, when the living entity tries to enjoy without Krishna, he will actually never find any peace or any happiness. And then if we read 4 and 7. Sorry, 5 to 7.
Hiranyakashipu became the conqueror of the entire universe. Indeed, that green demon conquered all the planets in the 3 worlds, upper, middle and lower, including the planets of the human beings, the Gandharvas, the Garudas, the great serpents, the Siddhas, Chalanas and Vidyadharas, the great saints, Yamaraj, the Manus, the Yakshas, the Rakshasas, the Pisakas and their masters, and the masters of the ghosts and the Bhutas. He defeated the rulers of all the other planets where there are living entities and brought them under his control. Conquering the abodes of all, he seized their power and influence.
So Hiranyakashipu was on his way to taking over the whole universe. But it raises a point here that how many times we heard on the news recently that, or over the past few years, that we have a general understanding on the Earth that the Earth is the only planet with some intelligence. And we're seeking so hard to find a planet or some evidence of some existence that may be there. I think only recently there was some, I can't remember the exact details, but some big telescope that they put it, or shared all the telescopes and brought them all together, and they came up with this picture of some distant, whatever it was. It looked a bit like a paint blob, so you can't really make out.
Black hole.
Was it a black hole? It was a black hole. But there's been other ones on different planets. But we can't. But it's all speculation and all theory. No one can really understand or provide any real evidence of this. But the Vedas actually are described. The Srimad Bhagavatam is described as perfect knowledge. So we can accept this. The trouble with us, because we have imperfect senses, we have imperfect telescopes, imperfect machines, we'll never ever be able to see what's really going on. We need different eyes for seeing different things. You know, we have people living on the sun, so we can't go to the sun because we don't have a body to enter the sun. So in the same way, all these different planets that do exist, we would need different bodies to go and experience and see all these things. But, you know, this is real. This is really happening, and this really exists, and this is the beauty of these Vedas and this knowledge that we have access to. You won't find it actually anywhere else. We need to have a little bit of faith. Rather than having faith in science and faith in all our equipment that we should have a little bit of faith in the Vedas, because, as I say, the knowledge in them is perfect and described that way. So let's move on to 8.
Hiranyakashipu, who possessed all opulence, began residing in heaven with its famous Nandana garden, which is enjoyed by the demigods. In fact, he resided in the most opulent palace of Indra, the king of heaven. The palace had been directly constructed by the demigod architect Vishwakarma and was as beautiful made as if the goddess of fortune of the entire universe resided there.
So the demigods are enjoying all their pious credits, enjoying thousands and millions of times more than the enjoyment we can possibly have on this planet. But actually, if we want, we can all become demigods. You know, we just have to perform austerities, collect our pious credits, and then maybe one day we can take the position of, say, Lord Indra or even Lord Brahma. And it's possible, you know, that maybe, you know, one of us, we've been demigods in the past. But what happens is because the upper planets and the heavenly planets are no different to, in terms of how they work, to the earthly planet, in terms of the karma system. We will go there and we will go enjoy, and we will burn out our pious credits, and then we end up coming back down again. When we read and understand Bhagavad Gita, we understand the system of karma in the sense that we don't want good karma and we don't want bad karma. We just want neutral, so that actually we can get out of this material world. So Hiranyakashipu became so powerful that he kicked Lord Indra out of his position as the king of heaven. So he took over his palace, and it describes it. His palace is an amazing. There is some verses that describe this palace, and you know, this is the heavenly palace. Nothing we can really compare. There's a mention here of this Nandana Gardens, and they're actually described as the gardens of Eden. So this is where you have jewels and, you know, beauty and such topmost enjoyment. If you want to enjoy, then you get yourself off to the heavenly planets. That's the place to be. You know, and that's really the place to be. If you're in the business of enjoying material pleasures, that's really the place to be. But we don't want that. We don't want to get out of that. So yeah, you know, different bodies, but all the demigods still subject to this birth, old age, disease, and death, and still subject to the problem we have with our senses, where we become the slaves of our senses. So that's the next one. So we'll jump forward a little bit. Yeah, I just wanted to say at that point that Hiranyakashipu, because he'd taken over all the planets, all the demigods now, and the holy inhabitants of the whole universe had surrendered fully to Hiranyakashipu. You know, they really were in fear of him. They didn't want to be punished. They didn't want to suffer anymore. But there was three entities who did not surrender and were not subjected to it. And those were Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu. Because actually they're no ordinary jivas, they're a little bit different. So the general, you know, the jivas all surrendered into Hiranyakashipu. So we're going to read number 14. Anyone got the microphone?
Oh Mahajara,
Yudhisthira,
descendant of Padu, by dint of his personal power, Hiranyakashipu, being situated on the throne of King Indra, controlled the inhabitants of all of the planets. The two Gandharvas, Vasu and Tumburu, I myself, and the Vidyaras, Asparas, and Sages all offered praise to him again and again just to glorify him.
So this is actually a very important verse because it actually shows how powerful Hiranyakashipu had become. Even great personalities had surrendered to Hiranyakashipu, and because in this part of the Srimad Bhagavatam is a conversation between Maharaj Yudhisthira and Narad Muni, and Narad Muni is a great saint. He says that even he surrendered to Hiranyakashipu. So sometimes great personalities, even great devotees, can also be controlled by these demons. A lot of it's to be doing with pastimes and acting and that, but it does happen, and it's very, very interesting. It doesn't mean that actually they are subordinate to the demons, but there is some control there. And then we read 16.
As in fear of him, Hiranyakashipu, the planet Earth, which consists of 7 islands, delivered food and grain without being ploughed. Thus it resembles cows like the Sarabi of the spiritual world or the Karmaduga of heaven. The earth yielded sufficient food grains, cows supplied abundant milk, and outer space was beautifully decorated with wonderful phenomena.
So Hiranyakashipu had everything. He had control of the whole world, the whole universe, and the whole universe was serving him so nicely. Mother Earth was so terrified, yeah, that she was producing grains and fruits automatically, just to serve Hiranyakashipu. There was no need for any. We have to plow. We have to work hard, even to get a little flower to grow. She was so terrified that everything came so perfectly, just to serve Hiranyakashipu. The living entities, the people of this world, they do seek this opulence. This is the example of playing the lottery. You buy a lottery for £1, and you just hope that maybe I will receive such riches so that I can be successful and be happy. But as we read on here, we'll see that even the greatest of demons, even the greatest of conquerors, even the most successful, most success in terms of achieving everything you could possibly want, he's still a servant. So we're going to read 19. Anyone for 19?
In spite of achieving the power to control in all directions, and in spite of enjoying all types of dear sense gratification as much as possible, Hiranyakasipu was dissatisfied because instead of controlling his senses, he remained their servant.
The more pleasures we have, the more opulence that we have, the more our senses will tug and desire more and more. Because the nature of the material world is that we cannot be satisfied with material items. We're always stuck in this situation. Actually, we are, as jivas, independent from our body. Our body is working and doing its own thing, consisting of the consisting of the six senses. And these six senses are always seeking some interaction with the material world. And in the same way, Hiranyakashipu is subject to the same problems. If we engage in devotional service, if we engage in chanting and hearing, we actually become, as a jiva, as independent to our bodies, because we're not the body, we become aloof from the activities of the body. So even though they're going on and doing what they're doing, we become aloof from that. And through this aloofness, we become self-satisfied within the self. Okay? So all these problems we have with the senses, it carries on, but because we are satisfied within the self, then we don't experience the suffering that they bring. Now, Hiranyakashipu was a great atheist. He had no spiritual understanding whatsoever. He thought he was the controller and he was the lord of everything. And this is why he's experiencing the same problems. He is doomed. There will be no success for Hiranyakashipu in the long term. Even though that today, when we have these short-term successes that we get, we enjoy a little bit, but everything is only temporary existence. So that was which one were we there? Which one did we read? Sorry, 19. That was 19. Yeah. Yeah. So we understand a master of the senses. If you master your senses, you become a Goswami. We've got Janananda Goswami coming to Rath Yatra in a couple of weeks. Great devotees or people are given these titles because they're controlling the senses. They become the master of the senses. But if we are not the masters of the senses, then we are Godasa. Go meaning senses. We're serving the senses continuously, day after day. If we read 20.
Hiranyakasipu thus passed a long time being very much proud of his opulences and transgressing the laws and regulations mentioned in the authoritative sastras. He was therefore subjected to a curse by the 4 Kumaras, who were great brahmanas.
When we study Krishna consciousness, we come to Krishna consciousness, sometimes we find out, or we notice, there's quite a few rules and regulations. Part of the Krishna consciousness, or just the Vedic system. There's a lot of rules and regulations that we need to follow. And sometimes it's like, oh man, what are all these rules and regulations all about? The reason we follow these rules and regulations is actually it's gradual elevation. It will gradually elevate us more onto the spiritual platform. Hiranyakashipu, he didn't follow anything. He disregarded everything shastric. But even, and it says the 4 Kumaras, they cursed him. But we need to follow these rules and regulations to elevate our own spiritual status, we can say. And it says that as soon as one transgresses the laws of Shastra, so as soon as we don't follow any rules and regulations, it says, it actually confirms this, it says immediately one enters upon the path of destruction. So to follow these rules and regulations that we hear and we learn about actually will keep us on the right path and keep us to enable us to have spiritual advancement through following these things. As the more and more advanced we get, these are the tools of spiritual life that we need to grab hold of. There's so much actually, even this is a pastime describing what happened, how Hiranyakashipu took over the universe, how he got there in the first place. So much philosophy in each of these verses. So I would recommend to everybody actually is to read it again and read the purports as well, because there's so much in there that relates to everybody in how we're living, and this is really not just this one pastime, but the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. This is why reading is so important, because this philosophy is so perfect, really, in how it's presented. So 21. Now he's got his position now. Let's see what happened now. 21. There we go. He's done 21. Hold on to it.
Everyone, including the rulers of various planets, was extremely distressed by the severe punishment inflicted upon them by Hiranyakashipu. Fearful and disturbed, unable to find any other shelter, they at last surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu.
So, finally everybody, all the demigods, all the inhabitants of the whole universe, they were really pushed to their limit. They'd had enough now. And because they're busy, they're busy enjoying themselves. They're no different to you and me. They're busy enjoying themselves, trying to get pleasure out of the material world. And even the demigods are all pushed to their limit. And finally, they said, "Okay, listen, we're at a point here. We need to now surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead." And really, that's the only way that we can have any success or any peace and happiness within our lives. Krishna is the friend of everybody. He is the eternal well-wisher of everybody. And when you're distressed or unhappy, what do? You seek a friend or someone who can help you and bring you out of these troubles. And in the same way, Krishna, is that friend and can be that friend. He is the source, or he is the destination, I should say, of all, sacrifices. Everything that goes on in this material world, or offerings, or everything, all end up at Krishna. So Krishna is the source, and Krishna is the beginning. And once we surrender into Krishna, our life becomes a complete success. And then these prayers are offered. There's a big section on the prayers. These prayers are offered to Krishna, begging him, explaining his situation, begging him, asking for help, asking what we can do here. And And then, when they made these prayers, there was this transcendental vibration in the sky, a sound, a voice came from the sky answering these prayers that they have and the complete distress that they have. So we just read 25 to 26. Who's next? Someone else want to go? Aaron, you want to read?
The voice of the Lord vibrated as follows. O best of learned persons, do not fear, I wish all good fortune to you. Become my devotees by hearing and chanting about me and offering me prayers. For these are certainly meant to award benedictions to all living entities. I know all about the activities of Hiranyakashipu and shall surely stop them very soon. Please wait patiently until that time.
Who would like to see God? Anybody? Like to see God? No, right. Like to see God. So this is the formula. This is the formula for seeing God. And it's the formula we do on a daily basis by hearing and chanting and offering prayers. This is the formula to see God. Okay. Now, you know, Krishna knows everything. He knows past, future, present. He knows what you're thinking. He knows everything. So he knows what you need, yeah? What's good for you and what will make your life a success. What is right for you at this time. It may not always seem the right thing, whatever's happening to you in your life as such, but actually it is the right thing. Everything is planned in a very, very nice way. What it says here is very, very important. Is the final little sentence says, please wait patiently until that time. So he won't necessarily deliver everybody and give success immediately, but what we need to develop is a little bit of patience. You know, when we come to Krishna consciousness, initially we have such a nice taste, and it's amazing, everything's going on, and it's like, wow, what's all this about? We feel very happy, very satisfied within. You know, Krishna is very kind because he gives us that. He gives us that, and sometimes people may experience it, maybe a little lull or something like that, and then it comes back again. You know, devotional service is really it is described like a wave. You know, if we keep at it, you know, you get good days, you get bad days, but it's no question. When you get these pleasurable moments, it's transcendental. There's no question. It's not like any material activity that you do. It is so different to what goes on. Anything but material activities, you know, they last for a little while, a little bit of pleasure, but they're very dry. They're very dry feeling. You know, everything is very dry and doesn't last. And and I think you know it. You know when you do material activities. You know that it's kind of like, what's the point of this? It's this kind of feeling, because you know the end result of everything that's going on. So we all want to see God. So let's read 28. 28. We'll skip through. Go for 28.
When Hiranyakashipu deals the great devotee Prahlad, his own son, who is peaceful and sober and who has no enemy, I shall kill Hiranyakashipu immediately, despite the benedictions of Brahma.
Very important verse. What is the topmost of sinful activities? Offending devotees. And the Lord is very clever, actually, because, I'll say it now. Lord Hiranyakashipu has 4 sons, and one of those sons is a pure devotee. And this is arranged by the Lord, because Hiranyakashipu is known, he's the most offensive Asura demon possibly can be. He will no doubt offend his pure devotee son. And it's set up here so beautifully and so nicely planned. And he's describing exactly what will happen. But on our level, you know, we need to be very, very careful on our dealings with other devotees, because this if we do offend, it's described, if we cause offence to another devotee, it's described as a wild elephant running around a garden and pulling out all the trees and the flowers and the plants. Our devotion, it's described like a creeper, like a plant, you see. And we need to nourish this creeper, we need to look after it, we need to water it, we need to look after it well. So when we offend a devotee, this creeper and the roots and all this is gone, it all gets pulled out and all gets squashed. So actually we lose our devotion by the offence to other Vaishnavas. So it's said in many, many places, in many, many scriptures about this problem. Lord Chaitanya was saying that all bhakti will be uprooted and destroyed, because the devotee is the most dear to the Lord. That's the thing we need to understand. That the devotee being the most, nothing else actually matters. And actually through devotional service and becoming a pure devotee, Krishna actually comes under the control of the devotee. That's how special that they are. I did want to read this. Yeah, this is it's from one of the pulpits. It is from the pulpit. It says, one's longevity, opulence, beauty, education, and whatever else may possess as a result of pious activities cannot protect one if one commits an offence at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Despite whatever one possesses, if one offends the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, he will be vanquished. So that's a very, very strong message there. That's from the purport of that. So here we are. Hiranyakashipu, he's taken over the world. All the inhabitants are very disturbed. They've said their prayers now. The Lord has come along and made his promises, explained to him what's going to happen. We heard a little bit about Prahlad Maharaj, and what happens now in the text is it starts to talk about Prahlad Maharaj and who he is. And we've got 5 minutes, so what I want to do is just, because tomorrow, next Friday, will be more detail about Prahlad Maharaj, how Hiranyakashipu will be trying to kill him, and also Nrsimhadev as well. How he destroys in his half-man, half-lion incarnation, how he destroys Hiranyakashipu. So if we, so who is Prahlad Maharaj? As I mentioned previously, Hiranyakashipu had 4 wonderful, well-qualified sons. 3 of them were demons, one of them was Prahlad Maharaj. He was an unalloyed devotee of the personality of Godhead. So let's just read one of the verses that talks about this one here, the qualities of Prahlad Maharaj. This is the qualities of a pure devotee, 6:31 to 32.
The qualities of Maharaj Prahlad, the son of Hiranyakashipu, are described herewith. He was completely cultured as a qualified Brahmana, having very good character and being determined to understand the absolute truth. He had full control of his senses and mind. Like the super soul, he was kind to everyone, every living entity, and was best friend of everyone. To respectable persons, he acted exactly like a menial servant. To the poor, he was like a father. So his equals, he was attached like a sympathetic brother, and he considered his teachers, spiritual masters, and older brothers to be as good as Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was completely free from unnatural pride that might have arisen from his good education, riches, beauty, aristocracy, and so on.
So these are the qualities of a pure devotee. Just read 33 and 34 as well.
Although Prahlad Maharaj was born in family of Asuras, he himself was not an Asura, but a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. Unlike the other Asuras, he was never envious of Vaishnavas. He was not agitated when put into danger, and he was neither directly nor indirectly interested in the fruitive activities described in the Vedas. Indeed, he considered everything material to be useless, and therefore he was completely devoid of material desires. He always controlled his senses and life here, and being of steady intelligence and determination, he subdued all lusty desires.
34 as well. 34.
O King Prahlad Maharaj, O King Prahlad Maharaj's good qualities are still glorified by learned saints and Vaishnavas, as all good qualities are always found existing in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They also exist forever in his devotee, Prahlad Maharaj.
So by practicing devotional service, we also can develop these saintly qualities, and they will come into fruition in how we are in our behaviours, and take on these. It says the devotee will acquire qualities which are almost the same as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because this is where everything, originates from. A devotee can be qualified like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not in full, but partially, So you find people come to Krishna consciousness, there's a change in them, change in the way they act, a change in the way they do things, because this is the purification process that is undergoing here. You can say it's a miracle because there are some changes that you read about, different stories of devotees that are really along those lines, and where people have come from. If you think when Srila Prabhupada first introduced this movement, he introduced it to a bunch of hippies, and really those qualities of those hippies you can probably are more on the demonic side of things, acting in the mode of ignorance and everything they did. But just by practicing Krishna consciousness and taking on this process, there was a change in them and a transformation in their qualities. So, next Friday is the main festival, and we'll hear the next part of the pastimes. So I'll finish. Is there any questions on any of this or anything?
You have 10 more minutes to go if you want.
10 more minutes?
Yeah, if you would like to.
I need 10 more minutes. Yeah. Okay, what I was going to do, there was just a couple of other verses to read, and then we'll call it a day. So we'll do 37. 37 and 38.
37 and 38.
37 and 38.
37, yeah?
Yeah.
From the very beginning of his childhood, Brother Maharaj was uninterested in childish playings. Indeed, he gave them up together and remained silent and dull. Being fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, since his mind was always affected by Krishna consciousness, he could not understand how the world goes on being fully absorbed in the activities of sense gratification. Prahlada Maharaj was always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, thus being always embraced by the Lord. He did not know how his bodily necessities, such as sitting, walking, eating, lying down, drinking, talking, were being automatically performed.
This is kind of what I was talking about before, how the pure devotee, the one who's satisfied in the self, becomes aloof from the body, and everything just carries on. All the activities carry on, separate to that. So in this way, Prahlad Maharaj, he says he did not know how these bodily necessities, such as sitting, walking, and all these things were going on, but they were all happening automatically performed, because he was just interested in thinking of the Lord, and that was Prahlad Maharaj. So I think we'll finish. Yeah, anyone has anything? Otherwise, just film. Right.
Karsna Prabhu ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama Rama,
Rama Rama,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
So thank you everyone for taking time out to be with us on this sunny Sunday. You had so many options, but you chose to be here. Such a wonderful class. I thoroughly enjoyed each and every sentence of that. How do you feel? How do you feel now after hearing the lecture? Happy?
Very happy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So we can be happy every day by reading it. Yes? By discussing it. By hearing it on a regular basis. But if we do that on a regular basis, we'll be definitely happy. So that's good. There are a couple of announcements for your diary. As Karsna Prabhu said, Friday 17th May is the Nrsimha Chaturdasi. This is off lion, off man incarnation of the Supreme Lord. So some new devotees, when they see this picture of Lord Nrsimha, they say, oh my God, what is this? Like, Lord is like a lion. So yes, he came in the form of off lion and off man, and is appeared on the Friday. So there will be program starting from 7 p.m. in the evening. So the class will start at 7 p.m. sharp. Okay, the program will go until 9, and there will be prasad for everyone's pleasure. So, and 18th, Saturday 18th, the day after Nrsimha Chaturdasi, that's the third Saturday of the month. Every first and third Saturdays, we'll have a full morning program starting from 5 a.m. Yeah, and we also have Srimad Bhagavatam class at 8 o'clock. And devotees, they go out to the street, Weekend Warrior program later in the day. So I humbly request, please kindly make use of this program. I've been coming, and I can see there is difference in myself. You can come at any time. You can come at 5. If you're not able to come at 5, come for the class. The class will, start at 8 o'clock. There is a nice, wonderful discussion takes place, among all the devotees. So Saturday, 18th May, is a special day also. Can anybody guess what it is? It is the appearance day of Sri Radha Ramanji. Yes, and also appearance day of one of Acharyas. Yeah, so it's a beautiful day, and we will dedicate that day's class to discuss the pastimes of Radha Ramanji and the Acharyas. So please take advantage of it, and if possible, come at 5. If not, at least come for the class and 8 o'clock. So yeah, it would be good. Then we have a wonderful event coming up, Sunday 26th May. We all know that is Rath Yatra in Cathedral Gardens. So could I humbly request everyone to take part in this event, and if you haven't got any service, is the boss for Rath Yatra. You can see him, and he will fix you. Has everybody got service, or anybody would like to do any service? We have one service available currently. We are going to have palanquin, yes, carrying Gornitai. Yes, and this will be looked after by Radha Vinod Prabhu. We need volunteers to carry the palanquin in the procession. Would anybody like to volunteer? Aaron Prabhu and Balkrishna Prabhu. We got 2 more we need? Yeah. 2 more we need, but if any of you are interested, or if any of your friends are interested, please contact Radha Vinod Prabhu. And also, have we got more leaflets? Are finished? Are they finished now? There are only few, very few.
We're going to get some this week.
Yeah. So please take a picture of this and send it to your near and dear. If the leaflets are available, then please do take, and spread it, spread the word.
Will it sponsor some leaflets?
Yeah, we'll do that. Anybody would like to sponsor any leaflets? Yeah, we'll do that. Don't worry, but we'll get them printed. You are? Agu. Balakrishna Prabhu. Excellent. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much for that. Yes, and in the June, we have London Rath Yatra. 16th Sunday, June is London Rath Yatra, is very famous. We are, having a coach. It is, looked after by mainly Radhamohan Prabhu. There are still some seats are available. It's only 25 quid per person. Just imagine to and fro and prasad free. Yeah, prasad free. And on the way back, you also have opportunity to visit Bhaktivedanta Manor. There are only few lost seats are available. If you would like to come for this London Rath Yatra, please see one of ours or mainly Radhamohan Prabhu. Yes. Is anybody coming for the first time or coming after a long time? So we can welcome you to our congregation.
And been for a long time.
Long time, Prabhu. Thank you very much. We missed you. Where have you been?
Not very well.
Oh, not very well. I'm glad that you're feeling better now. Thank you very much. Nice to see you, Prabhu. Thank you again. I hope you feel better.
I do, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, Prabhu? I've not seen you before, I guess.
Yeah, I'm new here.
New here.
Yeah, I come from the Swaminarayan Sampradaya. And,
Which Sampradaya, sorry?
Swaminarayan.
Swaminarayan.
Yeah, I'm
Sampradaya.
currently studying the Bhagavad Gita, so I've been coming to these classes here and there.
Here and there.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have every Friday and every Sunday. These classes are there. Friday the program is between 7 and 9 and Sunday between 1 and 3. So you can take part, and we also have a website, and all our programs are listed there, iskonmanchester.com. You can go and check and then attend. So thank you very much for taking your time out to be here. Anyone else has come? Let's welcome this devotee by 3 louder Hari Bols. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! That's it from me. Anything else? Hare Krishna. We'll have Kirtan now. Thank you. Hari Bol.
Namaste Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Siva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Siva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Siva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Siva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Siva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Siva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare H Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone. Hands in the air. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yajna Ki Jai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Gesh Lasi Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnupad Param Parvajak Charya Stotar Sat His Divine Grace La Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki Naam Charya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Prem se kaho Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan ki Shri Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki Shri Navadip Mayapur Dham ki Jagannath Puri Dham ki Ganga Mayi ki Yamuna Mayi ki Tulsi Devi ki Bhakti Devi ki Kalik Pavan Harinam Sankirtan ki Transcendental Book Distribution ki Hare Krishna Maha Mantra ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Panchatattva ki Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Krishna, our dear Thomas Prabhu, is going to take everyone's blessing. He's going to give 2-minute speech. You can stand up.
Just trying to get through the obstacles. Hare Krishna, everybody, and all glories to assembled devotees, and glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gauranga. Actually, I'm leaving you again, but nobody, God knows for how long. So, but it's really connected to my future life stage. So I would say like I'm trying to be again like a double grihastha. So like I already have children. So basically I'm leaving the temple, I'm leaving UK next Thursday morning actually. So the ones who gonna attend the Wednesday Sangha program on Wednesday, so I'm gonna be there, but this is the last day, the last thing for now, I'm saying for now. And because I'm gonna fly over from here to Lithuania and gonna back to my country. So I want to take the opportunity and to say to you big appreciation and thanks. I'm good, emotional now. Sorry. Yeah. So very big thanks to you all. I'm gonna miss you, and my heart is now divided in between Manchester and Vilnius, Lithuania. So I love you very much, and so that's it. Thank you very much. I'm gonna return.